Welcome to Make It Last, helping you keep your legal ducks in a row and your nest egg secure, with your host, Victor Medina, an estate planning and elder law attorney and certified financial planner.
Hey everyone, welcome to Make It Last with Victor Medina. I am your host, Victor Medina. I'm an estate planning attorney and certified financial planner, and you are joining us here at 7:30 a.m. If you are listening live, it's Saturday morning, and I've got my cup of coffee. I hope you have your cup of coffee. This is the show that helps you keep your legal ducks in a row and your financial nest egg secure, and we've got a great show for you here today. A little bit later, we're going to have a special guest, Lisa Kelly, who is the Regional Director of Development for Care One Facilities, which has about 28 or 29 different facilities in New Jersey, helping people with long-term care needs like assisted living or acute rehab. And so it's going to be really important for you to listen. If you have no experience with assisted living, you're going to want to listen into our segments with Lisa, because she's going to really kind of help illuminate that. And then we're going to talk first about retirement quiz that came out that really kind of opened my eyes, because so many people had failed to pass it. I thought it was a fairly straightforward quiz, and when the results came out, it turned out that not a lot of people passed it. But before we get to that, I wanted to thank everybody for listening to the show. We're having a great time putting it together, and it seems like you're having a great time listening to it as well. If you have any suggestions for any topics coming up in the future, feel free to email them to me at feedback@makeitlastradio.com. We'll get that, and we'll put it in the hopper for something coming up in the future. I'd love to hear back from the audience. Now, if this is your first time listening to us, I want to let you know that we do have the show available as a downloadable podcast, and you can go to iTunes and search for Make It Last, and you'll know that you're at the right spot, because you'll see a blue box that says Make It Last with Victor Medina. If you subscribe to that on iTunes or the Android devices, you'll not only be able to hear every episode as it comes out, but you'll also be able to go back to prior episodes and listen to those. And we've got a couple of good ones in the archives. In fact, the one that we just had before this one talked a lot about annuities, and annuities are one of the most misunderstood financial products out there, and I completely encourage you to go and listen to that one, because it was really, I think, eye-opening for a lot of people, and it would be eye-opening for you as well. So let's get right into it, because we've got a full slate today, and I want to reserve as much time for a special guest as we can. I was shocked to hear that the vast majority of people could not pass a very basic retirement quiz. And I'm going to go ahead and put a link to the quiz up in the show notes. So this is actually going to be great for anybody who wants to go download it afterwards. But if you go to the website, makeitlastradio.com, inside of there, we'll have the show link to this retirement quiz. But the questions I didn't find to be that hard. I mean, I'll give you an example. It said, if you had a well-diversified portfolio of 50% stocks and 50% bonds that was worth $100,000 at retirement, based on historical returns in the United States, what is the most you can afford to withdraw each year, plus inflation, to have a 95% chance that your assets will last for 30 years? And then you have five choices: $2,000, $4,000, $6,000, $8,000, and I don't know. Then you had another question that was like, take a portion of your retirement, let's say 20 to 40%, of a retirement portfolio, and buying a life annuity, true or false, can protect against the uncertainty of life expectancy and ensure a basic level of spending. Is that true or is that false? And again, it's a multiple choice. And so the American College put out this quiz, and you have a chance to take it on your own. Love to hear back from you how you did. And it was alarming how people did. So it turns out that it was given just to older Americans that were between the age of 60 to 75 with at least $100,000 in assets. And they failed. I mean, they failed the exam. There's no other way to say it. The vast majority of people got an F. Okay, the average overall quiz score was 47%. 47%. And only 5% of the individuals ended up getting a grade of B or higher. So the vast majority of individuals got less than 80% on it, which, as I said to you, is incredible. Only 1% of the individuals got an A. I don't know, maybe it was all the financial advisors that took it. But over the next 12 years, as I said, there's going to be 10,000 baby boomers turning 65 every day. So this concept of needing to be ready for retirement is significant. You need to be on top of this stuff because, first of all, everyone around you is going to need that. But the population is aging. And so we need to really kind of understand where our retirement finances are going to go, how it's going to be used in retirement, and a slip up this close to the end of the journey could have devastating impacts. They ended up asking people what they felt about their own financial knowledge in this quiz. And it turns out that 61% of the individuals indicated that they have a very high level of retirement income knowledge. So what are we highlighting here? Well, it turns out that most people believe that they have this right. And at the same time, most people got it wrong. How incredible is that? I mean, we have to have a little bit of humility to say that we should ask for help because we may not know as much about this area as we think. And the danger of being too proud to ask for help can lead to these devastating consequences. If you don't understand a basic concept like sequence of returns risk, if I say sequence of returns risk and you don't know what I'm talking about, there should be bells going off in your head that you need to ask for help. And we've gotten so much in this just culture of do it yourself and Google, and I can download it, and I'm really suspicious about somebody who offers to help, that we've gotten to a point in time where people are resistant. They're resistant to asking for help, and that's not where we should be. Whether you're talking about these finances, you're talking about legal planning, this is not one of those scenarios where you can really afford to make a mistake simply because you were too proud to ask for help. So, as I said, go to the iTunes link and go to the website, and I'll give you the link to the quiz. And I would like for you to take it. I think that you owe it to yourself to look into this and take the quiz and see where you end up. And if it turns out that you don't do well on it, don't get down about it. You now have the information that you need to know that your next step is to ask for help from a qualified professional. And here I'm going to warn you, because the majority of people, as I've said many times before, who call themselves financial professionals are people with an insurance license that only have one product to sell you because they got a hammer and everything's a nail. What you want is to work with a certified financial planner. You want to work with somebody that has a fiduciary obligation to put your best interest first. And if you don't know where to find one, go to the CFP site and do a search and find people in the area. As you know, we're certified financial planners in our office, and we have also the added benefit of being able to handle the legal planning as well. But this is too important, you retirees out there, to leave it up to chance. And if it turns out that you need help, I urge you to go and get that help, because your family will benefit from it. You will benefit from it. There's just too much at stake, and I really urge you to do that. All right, so that's been our first segment. When we come back, we're going to welcome our guest, Lisa Kelly. Lisa Kelly is from Care One. Care One is a family-owned business that has a number of facilities in New Jersey handling things like assisted living and long-term care. So stick with us on the break. When we come back, our special guest, Lisa Kelly with Care One.
Hey, it's Bert. I hear a lot from people that the one asset they're most interested in protecting from the devastating cost of assisted living or nursing homes is their own home. The team at Medina Law Group can meet with you to discuss options to help protect that home, including their special Home Sweet Home Trust. It's designed specifically to protect the value of your home in the event that you need long-term care in the future. Just call the experienced elder law attorneys at Medina Law Group at 609-818-0068 to learn more, including your chance to schedule a free consultation. You can also visit MedinaLawGroup.com to learn more about protecting your assets and the Medina Law Group team. For peace of mind and a solid foundation, call Medina Law Group at 609-818-0068 or visit MedinaLawGroup.com.
Welcome back to Make It Last. I am joined today by our special guest, Lisa Kelly. As I told you, Lisa Kelly is the Regional Director of Business Development for the Care One family of facilities in New Jersey. And welcome, Lisa, to the show.
Thank you.
Right. So I'm happy to have you on here, in large part because I think that what Care One is doing is really unique in the field, needs to be highlighted for listeners. And I wanted to bring you on to have everyone who's listening sort of understand a little bit more about what what is happening. So just why don't you outline a little bit about Care One? Tell us about the company, its history, and then we can kind of dive into the things that really have made me excited to have you on as a guest.
Thank you. Care One, located our home office in Fort Lee, New Jersey, currently has 29 healthcare and assisted living facilities throughout New Jersey. We also have over 60 other type facilities in 9 other states. We are family owned, and one of the main goals of Care One is to
well, let me ask a little bit about that. So there's 68 facilities. How long has it been family owned? Has it gone through multiple generations? Is it more recent that it's...
Right now we have Daniel Strauss and then his daughter Lizzie, who operates the company right now. And it's been in the works 30 plus years. Daniel has been in the business for many, many years, and now he's brought his family in as well.
Well, that's great. So when you talk about there being 28 different kinds of facilities out there, what are there different kinds? I mentioned assisted living. Is it just assisted living? Are there other things that Care One does within those 29 places?
So Care One has subacute rehabs along with some long-term care facilities, type nursing home, and then assisted living. We also have a hospice component as well under the Care One umbrella. We started out in the subacute nursing home business.
What is that? What is subacute?
So subacute is someone that may go into the hospital. Maybe they had an elective surgery. Maybe they had a cardiac procedure, a stroke, some type of medical episode that they ended up in the hospital, and they end up coming to rehab after.
Okay, because the hospital can't keep them forever.
They cannot.
Right, and so when they're done, they need a place to get better that isn't home because they can't go home yet.
They can't go home yet, correct. Okay. They need physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy. They will need 24-hour nursing care, nursing supervision. So the goal is to get them from the home to from the hospital to the rehab and then to home safely.
Okay. So the goal is to get them out of this subacute rehab. That's a temporary...
And back to home.
It's a temporary holding. Mm-hmm. Home would be great, but some people don't... They're not... From whatever caused them to go to the hospital, they can't go home.
Right.
And so they might look at another kind of a placement. So they might stay in long-term care at the skilled nursing facility, or they might look at assisted living if they needed that help. Am I getting that?
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Some individuals that may not be able to go home and they finish their subacute time. We have long-term care, which is a skilled setting as well that they can stay in. And that's where we started into the assisted living business, because we were finding that a lot of the individuals we were sending to other assisted livings instead of keeping them within the Care One family. Mm-hmm. So we piloted a couple units in some of our buildings that were continual campuses. We would have the subacute, the long-term care setting, and then we started putting in assisted living apartments because we felt if they could stay in the same campus, they would know the staff, they know the area, families were happy with all the employees that worked for us, and they felt that the care was good. So we would just keep them in the campus, but on an assisted living service.
I got it.
We also decided then to put the assisted livings in other parts of the state.
So the model worked. As you had this lower level of care, you were able to keep sort of this high, everything that was Care One and its culture that people liked from the subacute, you were able to continue that on at sort of a lower level of care, and then people were staying. So you rolled that out a little further. Okay.
Correct. And we were able to do that in a couple more communities where we had a full continuum campus, such as Jackson, which we're just waiting any day now for us to open the doors.
Okay.
But in Jackson, we have a subacute and a long-term care setting. And now we've just completed construction on a 35-person studio apartments within the campus for assisted living, specifically for memory care.
Okay. So if people don't know what assisted living looks like because they haven't had a family member that has to go or they haven't explored it themselves, what's the difference between assisted living? What makes it lower versus the skilled nursing facility, or what makes it higher than being at home? What does assisted really mean?
With assisted living, your main components that you really look for is making sure that there's programming. Activities, they're kept busy during the day. They're doing activities that they've done in the past, maybe that will fulfill their day a little bit more rather than being at home. Because at home, if you're not getting any social activity in your life, the days can go a little bit longer. You can also decline in health because you're not getting that social activity and you're not mingling with your peers and you're not getting your 3 meals a day. You don't have a nurse on site that's able to make sure you're getting your proper medication. Or maybe you have some medical condition that nurse on duty is able to monitor 24 hours a day.
Right.
So with assisted living, you're getting your meals, which is very important. You have your nursing care. Care One, our philosophy is to have our nurse 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We think that's very important. The programming, activities, going out on trips, keeping them very fulfilled in their life. On top of that, we offer occupational and physical therapy as well to those same individuals in the assisted living setting, because along with your medical condition and your social aspect, you want to make sure that you're still having your needs met physically. You're strong enough, how to ambulate. You're not at risk for falls.
Okay. What does ambulate mean? Just kind of getting around and getting in and out of bed?
Getting in and out of bed, making sure you can get around your apartment. You're getting down to the dining room. You're going to our social events. And, you're pretty much independent as you can be.
Got it.
We also have a dementia-specific therapy program where our philosophy is we're going to give individuals with memory impairments physical and occupational therapy as best to their ability.
I understand.
So they'll be able to follow whatever commands they can, but we're still making them stronger and they're not at risk for falls.
So it sounds to me that assisted living is really sort of a continuum of a protected environment where someone, who would be moving into that is going to, at any part of the spectrum, whether it's super low, making sure that they eat 3 times a day, or it's higher, making sure they don't fall and hurt themselves and they're taking their medication. There's this continuum that makes sure that people stay, within that sort of, they normalize in some sense,
yes.
Right? Does that make...
It's a community.
Yeah.
We want them to be as much a part of the community as they can be through all the different events that we have going on, through the support of the medical staff, because that's very important. And then also, the families getting involved in maybe a support group or getting involved with some activities, just as what they would do in their own community if it was out in the town. Now we have them come into the building and there's supportive environment for everybody.
And that's been my experience too, because in the elder law context, when I'm meeting with families, it's typically somebody who's in crisis already. So something has happened where they raised their hand and come and wanted to see an elder law attorney. And it's usually either a home caregiver, one of the spouses has just essentially had it enough. They can't handle it any longer. A child has intervened, with or without there being both parents, but the child has said, there's something going wrong at home and we need to shore this up because these needs aren't being met. And then when they integrate with assisted living, my experience has been that if it's not normalized, they stabilize. Sometimes they bounce back up because they are taking their medication on a regular basis or because they're eating on a regular basis, that there's something that happens where they get this kind of bounce up from where they were because these needs are being met. That's been my experience, at least.
That is exactly true.
Okay.
We find that it's as urgent as maybe you'll see in your field that something has happened, whether they have had a medical condition that has set them back or they've stopped taking their medication or forgotten to take in their medication. So now their memory impairment maybe has gotten a little bit worse. If the family is the caregiver, we find that sometimes it becomes too much for them and they end up taking them to the emergency room, and that's not really the appropriate setting. So we do find them also in a crisis. For assisted living specifically and the dementia memory care, we do find that, they're very quick move-ins. It's where there has been an episode or a setback or a caregiver burnout, like I said, that they're knocking on our door and saying, we need your help. We need to find placement for mom or dad, and we need to do it sooner than later. We didn't know how bad it was at home. They've been living alone. There's old food in the refrigerator, medications haven't been taken. So it's usually in that crisis mode as well.
Okay. So, from our experience with assisted living, I also know that you face sometimes some obstacles getting people to sort of agree to explore it. If they still have all their mental faculties, not everybody raises their hand and said, yeah, I'd love to go to assisted living. So how do you start to overcome that? Do you have different programs to sort of trial programs? How do you overcome that with families?
We do have a respite program, and basically how respite works is you can come in, you can try us out. It's really, week to week, depending on how long the family wants to try assisted living for. We also do that in the subacute and the long-term care setting. We encourage them to come in, try us out, get to know our staff, get into the routine. And that usually encourages not only the family members, but the resident themselves. They'll see it's not what they thought it was. They'll overcome all the fears they might have had about a subacute or an assisted living or a nursing home, because it really does enhance their life. Mm-hmm. They're getting their meals. They're not afraid anymore because they know that there's a nurse around the clock. They know that their medications will be taken care of. They can see a doctor on site that's going to come right in to see them. So they start to pull away from having any fear like they did at home when they were alone, and they feel more secure.
Right.
And 99% of the time, most people come in as respites, they stay.
Yeah, and the other experience that I've had is with the family members that are caring for them. This is their opportunity to finally go on vacation. They've been at it for a year without a break, and it finally gives them that break.
Yes.
It also introduces the idea that that with the break, mom or dad might get better.
Yes.
Then the care that they're getting provided might be better. It might be a better option for them to do that, and it sort of does it in an innocuous way, that they're going away on vacation, and so, we can't leave you alone, mom or dad, so why don't we try this out, and then everything starts to get better from there.
Absolutely. And for those individuals that, maybe the family feels, mom was in the hospital, she came home, she's not doing as well as we thought. We'd like to bring her in for subacute rehab just for a week or two to get her strong through therapy, because we offer all of those services. Or even in the assisted living setting, they'll take a vacation while they're with us. They'll get the occupational and physical therapy that they need. We build them back to a stronger version. The family gets, that time away, whether they're going to Hawaii or whatever it might be. They get that break to know that mom or dad is safe, but they also get a break for themselves, which they really need.
Yeah, it's huge. What I've seen is that the caregiver burnout rate is super high.
Absolutely.
And, people don't understand. Well, so my experience has been that when it's a spouse, they just believe that they should be giving everything over, even at their own expense. Yeah. And then, you'll have this child level guilt that says, I have to give everything over because they gave it to me, when it doesn't serve the person who needs the care to have that person burn out. What help could it be if, daughter or spouse burns out as a caregiver? That's not the relationship that would best serve the sick person.
Yeah, we talk to the caregivers, whether it's a spouse or a child, that, coming into an assisted living community, you're giving yourself a break, but you're also giving that loved one so many other things that you couldn't provide as being the caregiver. They're around their peers. They can talk about things that maybe they experienced back in the 40s or the 50s that their child wouldn't relate to.
Right.
They're also getting the social skills and the activities. Having lunch with their peers meals three times a day, that alone makes a huge difference.
This is the worst analogy I can come up with, but it reminds me of what we're doing with our 4-year-old, which is that there's a period of time where it's fine for them to be home with us, but they need preschool.
Yeah.
They need social. We're holding them back from the development. They're supposed to be around people their own age, not just adults all the time.
Exactly.
So it's the same way with these older folks that they're reliving the experience that they've had. They're sharing that. They're, as you said, they're getting the opportunity to do things that they wouldn't otherwise be able to do.
And you have to remember, a lot of these adult children have children themselves.
Sure,
they're the sandwich generation.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they have young kids that they're bringing to after-school activities, sports events, but then they also have mom or dad that they're caring for. So they really are, struggling through that sandwich generation right now with having to care for, two different aspects of the age spectrum.
Yeah, they turn left, they get hit. They turn right, they get hit.
Absolutely.
With those types of demands. Well, I can sense that you've got a lot of passion for this. How long have you been involved with, helping people in long-term care or this community?
Many, many years. I actually started out in geriatric mental health, and I loved it. It was just great to see individuals come in as one person into a partial day program, get support, life skills training, and that kind of brought me into the assisted living world. I was administrator for about 10 years and then kind of went into the marketing regional role. So I'm very happy here. I've learned a lot from all my residents throughout the years in assisted livings, met some very, very interesting people that have great stories to tell.
Stories, yeah. The great stories.
Great stories.
Yeah.
And, this is my passion and where I want to be, definitely.
Well, our time here has flown by,
Yes.
And we didn't even get to touch on any of the dementia-related services or how that impacts. Would you mind coming back in a few months and
Sure.
talking about that?
Absolutely.
That would be great. So tell me a little bit about what's coming up with Care One. Where can people either learn more about the company or any of the services that they offer? Because as I said before, one of the great things that I found about Care One is that the way that it has reached out to the community to try to insert itself as saying, look, we can help here. It's not just the service we provide, but we want to be productive members of the community. So is there anything that's coming up in the future, other ways that people can figure out more information?
Well, you can go to our home website. It's www.care-1.com, and that will tell you about our locations, upcoming events, anything in the news that we're doing, outside of Care One as a whole. It will tell you about all of our services from assisted living to subacute to long-term care. And if you're interested in coming to our caregiver support group at our Care One at Jackson location, you can actually call them directly in RSVP. It's the third Thursday of every month.
Okay.
And their phone number is 732-367-6600.
So this is somebody who is already a caregiver that might need some support.
Yes.
And then that's being hosted at Care One Jackson.
Yes, and we're actually offering to the caregivers to bring their loved one if they want to.
Oh, so
and we'll keep them.
Oh, good.
It's going to be a dinner. So everyone will get a nice dinner. The family members can go to the support group, and then we'll have our programming activity individuals, do something with them, whether it's movie night or a card game, depending on who's coming. But we'll be able to give them their time, enjoy a meal, and then they can take their loved one home.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for being my
Thank
guest
you.
here. This has been Lisa Kelly with Care One. She's Regional Director of Business Development. If you have any more questions about that, you can go visit www.care-1, and that's the word spelled out ONE.com. Learn more about Care One. I want to thank you for joining us here today at Make It Last. If you've got any suggested topics for us to talk about, you can always email us at feedback@makeitlastradio.com. And if you want to download any of the other prior episodes, you can go onto iTunes and make a search for Make It Last, and that will come up. It's a big blue box. You can subscribe to the iTunes podcast feed and get this and every other episode that we've done. You'll also be subscribed to get the episodes. So if you're not joining us at 7:30 in the morning with your cup of coffee, listening to it, you can get caught up right afterwards because we drop the show, and you get it on your feed, and you'll be able to listen to it whenever you want. So thanks so much for listening to us here today. We'll catch you on the next episode of Make It Last, where we help you keep your legal ducks in a row and your financial nest egg secure.
Hey, Make It Last listeners, attorney Victor Medina, founder of the Medina Law Group, wrote a 5-star rated book on estate planning. It's called Make It Last, How to Get and Keep Your Legal Ducks in a Row. And it's available on Amazon.com and the iBookstore. This fun and easy-to-read book covers whether you need a will or a trust, how to know whether your power of attorney is any good before there's an emergency, how to make sure your inheritance stays in the family and doesn't go to that no-good son-in-law, and the 19 questions you must ask before you hire an estate planning attorney. The book is normally $20, but the first 15 listeners of today's program can get it for free by visiting makeitlastradio.com/free book. The book is free, and you pay just a small shipping and handling charge. Don't miss your opportunity to get the very best estate planning advice for free. Visit makeitlastradio.com/free book now to get your free copy today.
The foregoing content reflects the opinions of Medina Law Group, LLC and Private Client Capital Group, LLC, and is subject to change at any time without notice. Content provided herein is for informational purposes only and should not be used or construed as investment or legal advice or a recommendation regarding the purchase or sale of any security or to follow any legal strategy. There is no guarantee that the strategies, statements, opinions, or forecasts provided herein will prove to be correct. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Indices are not available for direct investment. Any investor who attempts to mimic the performance of an index would incur fees and expenses which would reduce returns. All investing involves risk, including the potential for loss of principal. There's no guarantee that any investment plan or strategy will be successful. We recommend that you consult with a professional dedicated to your needs.